Oh, welcome to the show. It's October 2nd, 7 o'clock. As always, I'm here. I'm not late. If you're not here, you're late. Yeah, so we got things to talk about. I got things to talk about this time. There's always some things to talk about. We're going to talk about Trump and New York's attack on him. Seems that it's just endless at this point. Unfortunately, they're just going to keep going after him. Now they're going after his assets. So try and make him a poor man, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. So it's in the long line of things they're gonna do to this guy. But we'll talk about that. Also, apparently they found the alleged shooter of Tupac after 25 years or whatever it's been. I think 25, 29 years. I don't even know what it's been. Been a long time. But they've got a guy. Maybe it's him, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But we'll talk about that. Also, Victoria Newland. Ever heard of her? Many people haven't. She's a scary chick. She's the assistant secretary of state, or I guess she might be the secretary of state now. I don't know. I think she's the assistant at this point. We'll talk about her and what her roles are, and you know, some conflicts, U.S. conflicts, and things like that, and why she potentially is one of the scariest women on the planet. Also, California has now they've now announced a $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, probably extensive of all minimum wage workers in the state. Seems silly to me. $20. God, I guess I'm old. I remember a time when $20 an hour was quite a good wage. Now it seems to be the minimum wage, but it doesn't seem like anything else is kind of matching with it. So that's a problem. We'll talk about that and what the implications of that are. Also, Michael Jordan hits $3 billion of asset value. Wow, he's the richest athlete I think ever at this point. We'll talk about that and what he did to attain that wealth and his recent sale, I guess, of his controlling stake of the Wizards. Good on him. I mean, great basketball player, obviously just as good a businessman. So we'll talk about that. Elon Musk. Elon Musk hit the border, um, probably for a bit of an ex publicity stunt, whatever the reason was. He went down to the border and talked about the border wall or potential for a border wall. He seems to agree with some of Trump's policies in that regard, which is kind of weird, I guess. But yeah, we'll talk about that and what that might mean, maybe for popularity and pushing that sort of uh, that idea forward with people that might lean a little bit more to the left or even the moderates. And the last thing we'll talk about is a pretty cool YouTube channel I just found fairly recently. I'm surprised because it's got almost 3 million subscribers to it. It's called The Y Files. Very interesting stuff. They tackle all kinds of UFO stuff and just different. I guess you'd call them conspiracy theories and such. And takes a pretty good uh, scientific approach, pretty good logic based approach to how they talk about those. And yeah, I like it. It's a great channel, so I'm going to promote it here on my small channel because I'm sure they need my help. But yeah, so we'll talk about that, and maybe you'll check it out and let me know what you think about it in the comments. As always, if you're watching this, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the like, all those kinds of things that you do on YouTube to help these small channels like mine with the algorithm. And if you miss any part of this podcast, the live podcast, you can catch the segments that I talk about in little bits during the week. I post them at 5 o'clock. Lately, I've had 7 topics. So daily, I'll have a topic at 5 o'clock. Typically, I have 6. So between Tuesday and Sunday, and then the live broadcast on Mondays. But if I've got a 7th topic like today, you'll see a topic on Monday as well at 5 o'clock. So if you see those, check them out, share them, like them, all that kind of stuff. Get in the comments, comment, jump in the live comments, anything you want to do. Call me an asshole. I don't care. Whatever. Jump in the live comments. We'll have some fun. I respond to pretty much everything because I don't get too many comments on the channel, obviously now. So if you do comment, I will say something. So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's get into the first topic here. Doop, doop, doop. All right. Well, unfortunately, our former President Trump is in some hot water with New York. He seems to always be in hot water with New York. They really have a hard on for him. They're really trying to get him. But now they're going after his assets. So I don't know. I'm going to read this article. This article here is from ABC News, an ABC News affiliate. They, hey Joe, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, they're probably skewed as far as what they think about Trump, left leaning. Probably not going to like him. But I'll read this article and we'll see what they have to say about it. So Donald Trump's appeared in a New York court for his fraud trial. Here's what happened on day one. Donald Trump is fighting a civil lawsuit that could cost the former U.S. president control of some of his most. This is a bad, poorly written article, I think. Control of some of his most prized properties and his freedom to do business in New York. He's already been found guilty of fraud unless he wins an appeal. He could be forced to give up properties, including Trump Tower. Unlike the 4 criminal trials he separately faces, Mr. Trump generally don't I hate that Mr. Trump. Just I don't know. I don't like the Mr. Trump. He was the president, so I feel like he deserves a little bit more credit than that. But anyways, Mr. Trump generally avoids appearing at civil hearings. His decision to show up this time shows how seriously he's taken this case. Again, this article is written pretty poorly. I guess they don't have an editor. Good job, ABC News. His sons are also defendants in the trial, which could have huge ramifications for the New York business empire he was famous for prior to his presidency. The judges already found Trump committed fantasy world fraud. So I'll give you a very quick synopsis. They're trying to say that he's inflating the value of his properties to use as leverage to buy other properties or just in general to inflate his net worth. I guess for, in these cases, somebody that has, obviously, if you're looking to get more property or to get more assets, whether it be stocks, anything like that, you need to show that you have value in the properties that you have. So they're just trying to say that he's been inflating the value of his properties for years, which may or may not be true. I don't, to the tune of what they're saying. I don't agree. But so last week, New York Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engoron ruled that Mr. Trump committed fraud for years while building his real estate empire. He deceived banks, insurers, and others by overvaluing his assets and exaggerating his net worth on paperwork used in making deals and securing loans. In defendants' world, rent-regulated apartments are worth the same as unregulated apartments. Restricted land is worth the same as unrestricted land. Restrictions can evaporate into thin air, the judge wrote. That is the fantasy world, not the real world. So Judge Engoron ordered that some of Mr. Trump's business licenses be rescinded, effectively stopping them from doing business in New York. A punishment legal experts and Mr. Trump himself are calling a corporate death penalty. So it's funny how for years it was fine when he was New York's sweetheart as the real estate tycoon of New York. No problem. In the 80s when he kind of helped reinvigorate New York and Manhattan, that was fine. No problem. If he's doing that, no problem. Now suddenly you got a hard on to get him. It just shows that it's, it just shows that it's all corrupt. Anyways, we knew this was all going to happen anyway. They're going to go after everything, anything they can. They're going to throw every kitchen sink at this guy. It's not even, it's laughable at this point. So the former president's property and business empire is now on the line. While the judge has already found that fraud has been committed, he still has to rule on 6 other claims. They include allegations of conspiracy, falsifying business records, and specific insurance fraud. The non-jury trial also has to consider the question of punishment. Again, this is a civil case, so civil cases are kind of a joke. It falls down to a judge, and they can just make a bad ruling, and wow, great, awesome. The New York Attorney General Letitia James is seeking at least $250 million in fines. She also wants a permanent ban against Mr. Trump and his sons Donald Jr. and Eric from running businesses in New York, and a 5-year commercial real estate ban against Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization. He should have pulled out of there years ago. Should have got out of that dumpster fire of New York. So I'm not going to read more of this article, but I'll give you a little synopsis of part of what they were talking about was the Mar-a-Lago property. They valued the Mar-a-Lago property at something like 18 to 20 million, which is just a complete joke. The property brings in just in income or just in revenue, I mean, per year, it brings in like 29 million. So if you know anything about real estate valuations or business valuations, you'd know that even a conservative, like a very conservative investor, someone who's really, really stringent on the numbers, would still value a business just based on the revenue alone at anywhere from 6 to 10 times value. So per annual. So let's just say 10 for easy math. That's $290 million alone, but just based on the revenue of the business. You're not even factoring any of the value of the property, uh, historic value, anything that this property that might be valued at. So it's obvious that they're just playing games. This is just a complete clown show. You, Again, I'm not like a staunch Trump supporter, but come on. I think anybody with half sense can see that this is actually a big witch hunt against this guy. This isn't a real. These aren't these aren't real trials against him. This is banana republic stuff. So until this kind of stuff ends, how can you take any of it seriously? They're just going to have to just do what you have to do. Get get the right guy on the Democratic side to actually go against Trump and be legit instead of this bullshit they're trying here. All right. Oh, hello, Chrissy. And so okay, what do you got to say here, Joe? Easier for me to read off here. How do they go after the Mar-a-Lago if it's in Florida when the charges are in New York? That's between him and Florida, not New York. Exactly. Yeah. So they can't, but um, they use it as evidence against him for his New York properties. So they can't touch that property. Any other properties he has in Atlantic City or whatever, anything outside of New York, they can't go after because this is a New York state trial. So, but it's still, I mean, he's got, I wouldn't even know what the percentage of his assets that he has in general are in New York. It's probably well over half. So this would be quite crippling. And this is the way you're going to attack a guy like this. You're just going to go after his money bone now at this point. So it is pretty sad. Oh, by the way, Joe, Chrissy's my girlfriend, so that's why she's in the chat. So don't hit on Chrissy. That's fine. You can hit on her. She's cute. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing here. Let me find it here. All right. So yeah, Tupac. It's been a while. I haven't really heard about him for a while. Dude got shot. Dude died, unfortunately, back in the 90s. I think it was 96, something like that. He They couldn't find his killer, but it was kind of like this West Coast, East Coast, West Coast rap thing, like this feud between the two. So it was always kind of the idea that that's what got him. So okay, let me read this article here quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So the man is charged with murder in Tupac Shakur case. The man, a former gang leader named Dwayne Keith Davis, has said the 4 shots that killed the rapper in 96, there you go, 96, came from the vehicle he was riding in. Doesn't say he shot him, but more than 25 years after the killing of Tupac Shakur became a defining tragedy in hip hop, a self-described gang member who has repeatedly proclaimed that he had participated in the drive-by shooting was indicted on a murder charge. Las Vegas prosecutors said on Friday, reviving a blockbuster investigation that had long stalled. The man, Dwayne Keith Davis, has said in interviews and a memoir that he was in the front passenger seat of the white Cadillac that pulled up near the vehicle holding Mr. Shakur after a 96 prize fight between Tyson and Selden in Las Vegas. The 25-year-old rapper was shot 4 times and died in a hospital less than a week later. A grand jury in Clark County indicted Mr. Davis on 1 count of murder with use of a deadly weapon, plus a gang enhancement, a prosecutor said in court on Friday. Mr. Davis, whose arrest was earlier reported on the Associated Press, is in custody without bail. Despite plentiful speculation, evidence, and reporting across nearly 3 decades, No charges had been filed in this shooting of Mr. Shakur, who was one of the most popular artists of the 90s with tracks that brought poetic gravitas to confrontational gangster rap. Okay. Anyways. Mark DiGiacomo, a chief deputy district attorney in Clark County, said in court on Friday that Mr. Davis was the on-ground, on-site commander who ordered the death of Mr. Shakur and the attempted murder of Marion Knight, the rap mogul known as Suge, who was driving the car holding the rapper. It was not immediately clear whether Mr. Davis had a lawyer. In his 2019 memoir, Mr. Davis, who goes by the name FED, recounted a gang dispute that escalated after Mr. Shakur and his associates beat up Mr. Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson, following the boxing match at the MGM Grand Hotel. Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something, Mr. Davis said in the memoir. Compton Street legend. Tupac chose the wrong game to play. Okay. Well, he's kind of admitting it. You guys they're not very smart that way. You know, they're going to put lyrics in their rap songs and, it's the thug mentality. It's the idea that you're not gangster unless you admit you're gangster, I guess. I don't know. If you don't tell people that you shoot people, how are people going to know that you shoot people? It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? So you're like, I'm a gangster. Well, have you shot anybody? No, sure haven't. In this case, he's like, sure as shit. He's playing the wrong game. So, you know what? I don't know. Maybe he did it. Maybe he didn't. I'm not going to read any more of the article. But it's kind of early at this point, and they've been chasing their tail for 27 years, and now suddenly they got a guy. I don't know. Seems a bit weird to me. We'll see what comes out. See what kind of evidence they have. If they've got some conjecture, the guy, maybe admitting he was there. What do you got him for? Accessory? Maybe. I don't know. I can't see how you get him for the actual murder if you don't have a murder weapon, a confession or some other evidence, but I don't know. Yeah, Chinese gangsters? Yeah, probably. And yeah, you have to believe me, Joe. She is. Um, I would have her on the podcast, but she's camera shy. All right. Let me go into the next thing here. Plug along. This one I'm kind of interested in talking about. So, Victoria Newland. So, if you haven't heard of her, which I hadn't really, I heard the name, but I didn't really know who she was or anything until I started doing a little bit of diving in. I saw a video where they were talking about her, and then I just kind of started doing a little bit of deep dive on her. She is she's a pretty influential person, we'll say. She means something. So I'm going to read this article, and this is Kiev Post. This is a Ukrainian uh, article. So you're going to get that end of the spectrum, which is nice to see what they're saying about U.S. politics or a U.S. politician. So who's afraid of Victoria Nuland? The U.S. government U.S. government official has had her finger on the pulse of America's relationship with Ukraine longer than most, but a recent talk to an audience in Kiev is raising concerns. She's 62, by the way, this woman. By some accounts, primarily those of anti-neocons, anti-globalists, anti-Atlanticists, Trumpsters, Putinistas, run-of-the-mill conspiracy theorists, or any amalgam thereof, Victoria Nuland is, along with George Soros and Hillary Clinton, one of the most nefarious emanations of America's satanic quest to police the world into its own likeliness. Wow. Or likeness, I should say. That was a mouthful. A bit of a wordy paragraph there, but all right, here we go. For those unaware, 62-year-old Victoria Nuland is the current U.S. Deputy Secretary of State. He served in the Obama administration in various capacities, and by the time Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity exploded, she was Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs. So just for some context, Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. So the Secretary of State has a lot of power. Secretary of State would be maybe the fourth or fifth most powerful person in U.S. government. So this is a woman that wields a lot of power. In the George W. Bush administration, she was initially foreign policy advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. Ooh, that's anybody who's affiliated with Dick Cheney seems to be just yeah shady as shade as far as I'm concerned. Which earned her the reputation as Uberhawk, after which she became ambassador to NATO. In the 90s, Newland worked in the Bill Clinton administration as chief of staff to Strobe Talbot, the deputy secretary of state, before taking the post of director for former Soviet Union affairs. Man, so from in the 90s, so God, Nick would have been in her 30s. This chick had some pretty powerful jobs at a pretty early age. To say she has had her finger on the pulse of America's response to the fall of the Soviet Union is an understatement. Indeed, conspiracy theorists like to drop her name whenever they feel a need to emphasize how NATO was responsible for Russia's war on Ukraine. And the clincher, at least for the conspiracy theorists, is the fact that she is the wife of arch neoconservative Robert Kagan, co-founder of the Project for the New American Century. Oh, that might explain something there. Newland in Ukraine and the EU intercept. Victoria Newland popped onto the radar of most casual Ukraine observers during the Maidan rallies in late 2013. She was famously pictured distributing cookies to the protesters. This was evidence for many that the CIA was behind the Maidan protests. If the cookies weren't enough for conspiracy theorists, then a speech she gave around the same time to the U.S. Ukraine Foundation was proof positive. Newland admitted that the U.S. had spent about $5 billion on democracy-building programs in Ukraine since 1991. That would amount to a $272 million per year, a pittance compared to what Russia was spending on influence and active measures campaigns to draw Kiev back into its fold. Okay, so of course Russia's going to try and lure them back in. That's not weird when Russia, a neighboring country, is trying to get a once part of their country back into their fold. Like I love how they kind of put that in. This is a weird article considering it's written from Ukraine. So, but you know, it doesn't seem a little weirder that U.S. foreign money is coming in there to try and, you know, I guess, you know, push them one way or the other. That seems a little bit more sketchy to me than Russia doing it. But it was the infamous F the UE phone intercept between herself and the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Pyatt, from late January 2014 that settled the issue for those who still insist the revolution of dignity was a CIA-sponsored coup d'etat. Most sensationalist accounts interpreted Newland's comment as an expression of disdain for the EU trying to broker an agreement between President Viktor Yanukovych and the Maidan leaders, a deal that might circumvent the U.S.'s attempt at manipulating the situation to its advantage. Okay. This is a pretty wordy, heavy article here. I'm going to give you the Coles notes on this broad here. This broad is very, very pro-war. She's very pro-Ukrainian war, and she's been involved in some other conflicts, like the Niger conflict and things like that. So she seems to be someone who's very important in pushing the needle towards war. So, yeah, it's funny when you see these quiet, I guess these quiet tears, if you will, these people in the background that you don't really hear about very much, but they're the ones kind of pulling the strings. This might be one of the women, one of the few people that are actually fully pulling the strings of the U.S. government currently, and maybe in the past a little bit. So someone to watch for sure. Yeah. So Secretary of State, yeah, third in line. Okay, there you go. So, well, third. Hold on, it's fourth in line though, because you'd have the Speaker of the House would be third, I think. So it would be President, Vice President, Speaker, then Secretary of State. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah. Okay. So you're right. Yeah, you worded it. Yeah, you worded it right. All right. So it's third in line if something happens. That's right. Yeah. So if something happens to the president, right? So fourth on the list of like hierarchy as far as who's in charge. Got it. Yeah. We were both right there. It was just I'm kind of stupid in the way I was reading what you said there. All right. Okay, let's get on to the next thing here. This is going to be the fall of the middle class I'm going to talk about here. All right, California's at it again. a $20 minimum wage in California. I don't know. Is this going to spark $20 around the country, or is this just California? If it's just California, fine, whatever. I'm sure everything's expensive in California. It's the state's kind of a dumpster fire at this point, so I'm not surprised. But let me read this article. I'm gonna try and get through this pretty quick. So it's from Reuters. Yeah, this might be all right. The kind of article they could probably do all right with. California minimum wage for fast food workers raised to $20 an hour. So September 28th. This article is a few days old. Fast food workers in California will earn a minimum of $20 an hour and have a greater say in setting workplace standards under a new bill signed into law on Thursday by Governor Gavin Newsom. The future happens here first, Newsom said in an event in Los Angeles, with labor officials and fast food workers flanking him. Yeah. Oh, happens here first? Get out of here, buddy. What do you mean it happens there first? You're the joke. The legislation emerged as part of a broader compromise in which fast food companies agreed to remove a 2024 ballot referendum asking voters to repeal a law aimed at improving wages and working conditions for employees. Excuse me. Labor unions, meanwhile, dropped their push to hold fast food corporations liable for violations committed by their franchisees. The median fast food worker in the U.S. earned $13.43 an hour in 2022, while those in California made an average of $16.60 an hour, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The new minimum, which takes effect in April, equates to an annual salary of $41,600. That's crazy. $41,600. I remember when I first had one of my first jobs, my first good jobs when I was like 19. My salary was $42,000, and it was a great salary back then. I was so excited to get a salary of $42,000 at 19. Now it's minimum wage. There are more than 550,000 fast food workers at 30,000 locations statewide, Newsom said. The majority are primary providers for their families. Contrary to the perception that fast food workers are teenagers in their first jobs, while 80% are minorities and 2/3 are women, he added. Yeah, okay, great. They're not supposed to be those jobs. Fast food jobs are not supposed to be a living wage job. It's supposed to be the first steps into the workforce. We're supposed to have nice middle class jobs. We're supposed to 41,000. It's not supposed to be something where people are like, yeah, cool, I'm making 41,000. You're supposed to be like, well, this is a nice starting point. But this is the destruction of the middle class. Let's try and raise just a bit. Let's raise the lowest class and squeeze that middle class as much as we can. Stupid. It defies logic. We're not just about growth, he said. This state is about inclusion. Growth? What do you mean growth? Your state's dying. In addition to the higher wages, the law also establishes a fast food council, including representatives for both workers and employers that can improve further pay increases and set standards for working conditions in what labor leaders hailed as a historic move. Please, read better, me. The overall minimum wage in California is $15.50 an hour, among the highest of any state. Federal minimum wage, which has remained unchanged since 2009, is $7.25 an hour, or $15,000 a year for an employee working 40 hours a week. Wow, that's crazy. That's a little low. All right, well, yeah, I don't see how that's good news. But what do you got to say here, Joe? Yeah, exactly. Well, people are going to pay for this, right? People don't realize that it's now. When minimum wage goes up, it's not like, oh, well, great, this money comes from nowhere. They just raise their prices, and we all pay more. So it's, yeah. So what are you saying here? Yeah, okay. I get that idea, Joe, but we shouldn't be the idea. So Joe's comment here is he says anyone that works full time shouldn't live in poverty, no matter the job. The idea that we're bolstering up jobs that should be like entry level type jobs, and we're increasing the wage on those, but we're not. So nothing else is increasing. So people that are working, say whatever, like engineers, nurses, people that are working jobs that are in the middle class, they're not getting a raise to match those raises. So when you get a raise on the low end like that, now prices go up everywhere to account for that. it doesn't, it's not as if that person who's making minimum wage is now, it says, oh, they're making a livable wage. Well, not really, if everything else is going back up as well. And most times, not in the same, at the same level in which that wage has gone up. For example, you look at inflation over the last 3 years, it's basically doubled. The value or the price of things have pretty much doubled. Wages haven't gone up in that way, in that regard. So if you increase the minimum wage by a couple dollars an hour, it's still not accounting for that. It just makes people think that they're going to make more and that they're going to do better. But realistically, that's not what's happening. It's just squeezing that middle class. Yeah, and I do. I blame corporate greed, of course. We have laws against corporate greed, but this case they're not being exercised. And unfortunately, I don't think California is going to be the place to really do much about this. You know, since they kind of they kind of seem to lead the charge on woke garbage policies. All right. Yeah, good points, Joe. I mean, yeah, I agree with you in spirit. Of course, I think anybody that's working full time, but again, these kinds of jobs, like fast food jobs, are supposed to be for young people. I worked at McDonald's when I was in high school. It was supposed to be for young people and maybe retired people because retired people can afford to work a job where they don't need to make as much if they've done everything right and they have income to pull from investments or 401ks or whatever what have you that they have money from. Obviously government like old age benefits and things like that. They can go and work at a fast food restaurant. And I worked with a lot of older people when I worked at McDonald's, and they enjoyed it. They just loved going to work, and it was a choice. They didn't have to work, so they enjoyed it. So I do see what you're saying, but there is a there's a squeeze that's going on in the middle class that seems to be done at the point of at the tip of the minimum wage knife, if you will. All right, let's get on to the next thing here. You kind of alluded a little into the corporate greed. It's kind of funny in a way that we're going to talk about a billionaire next. All right. Okay. Well, Michael Jordan has hit the billionaire status. He already was, I guess, but he just sold controlling stake in the Wizards. He probably keeps a very minor stake in the on the team or of the team, I should say. But he's now hit a value of $3 billion, which makes him the I guess the most successful athlete in all like of all time, which it's cool. I mean, he was the most successful, or, arguably the most successful basketball player of all time. I mean, some people will argue different things, but I don't think they I don't think they have a leg to stand on. But let me read this article here anyway. This is from Forbes, so this is right in line with what they should be writing about money. So Michael Jordan is now worth $3 billion and joins the Forbes 400. So good for him. Here we go. Since Michael Jordan stepped onto an NBA court for the first time in '84, earning an outsized payday has been a layup. Across his 15 NBA seasons, he hauled in $94 million and was the league's highest paid player in '97 and '98. But it was off the court where Jordan put serious air between himself and every other athlete on the planet, earning an estimated $2.4 billion pre-tax over his career with brands such as McDonald's, Gatorade, Hanes, and of course Nike, where his most recent yearly royalty check was for some $260 million. Wow. It's a royalty check for $260 million. That's sick. Jordan had his biggest score in August, though, when he sold his majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, I was saying the Wizards. Hornets. At an eye-watering $3 billion valuation. Even if he had sold at Forbes' most recent valuation, an estimated $1.7 billion in 2022, it would have been a coup for the 60-year-old Hall of Famer. Instead, the 27th most valuable franchise in the NBA traded hands for the second highest sale price in league history and nearly 17 times its value when Jordan became principal owner in 2010. That places him in rare air with an estimated net worth of $3 billion. Jordan has arrived on the Forbes 400, marking the first time for a professional athlete has ranked among America's wealthiest individuals. Michael's one of the few people that have had success 3 times, says Ted Leonsis, the Washington Wizards, Mystics, and Capitals owner, who has partnered with Jordan on multiple investments and sports ownership in the past. A lot of entrepreneurs, they make it once. They have a big win, take their winnings, retire, and we never hear from them again, or they try something a second time and it doesn't work. He's had three mega successes, referring to Jordan's impact as a player and owner, as well as growth of the Air Jordan brand at Nike. So it's obvious he does very, very well. Anytime he touches anything, he probably takes that same, the same discipline he took to basketball, he takes it to business. So it's no surprise that he's doing very well uh, in his business, as he's probably just as disciplined. Still joining the 3 comma club requires a perfect storm of favorable circumstances, or as Mark Cuban, billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks, puts it, athletes need to get really lucky. But that seems hardly the case for Jordan, who's had success as soon as he entered the NBA. When the first Air Jordan sneaker was released during the tail end of his rookie season in 1985, Nike reportedly expected to sell $3 million worth of merchandise. 2 months later, the brand had $70 million in sales and $100 million by the end of the year. According to the 2023 study from Temple University, Jordan had signed on for 5 years initially, earning $500,000 annually plus royalties. In its latest annual report, Nike reported $6.6 billion in annual wholesale revenue for the Jordan brand, up 28.6% from the prior year. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, that's enough of that. He's doing really well. That's your takeaway from this. Jordan is a billionaire, probably already was, but good for him. He's on the Forbes 400. I like to see success in guys like Jordan because, like I said, he was tops the game he played, and I think his discipline deserves that kind of success. So good on him. All right, let's go on to the next thing. I'm gonna blast through the last two here. What do you guys say here, Jeff? Imagine how much more he would have had if his shoes weren't ransacked for 4 years. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, do you feel sorry for him though? Yeah. Like, he probably laughs. It's like, oh man, I could have had a couple 100 million more or 500 million more. Ooh. I think once you hit that 1 billion mark, it's kind of like everything else after that's like a joke. It's like, what are you gonna do? What would anybody do with $1 billion? Like it's like, what do you buy towns now? Maybe buy islands. You know, now you're buying just buildings. Like I just want that building over there. I'm just gonna buy it. Or well, my boat's not big enough. A 150-foot yacht just isn't cutting it anymore for me. I think I need a 250-foot yacht. Probably better. All right, let's go on to the next thing here. So Elon Musk was down at the border in Texas-Mexico border, a couple days ago, and he broadcasted it live, I guess, on X. So now he's kind of on board with the border wall. He says there's a problem down there, which I think anybody with 2 eyes knows that there's a problem with the U.S. border. It's good to see someone like Elon Musk jump into the fray, though, because he's got the ear of a different element of people. He's not a Trumper, so people aren't gonna be like, oh, he's a MAGA or any of that kind of stuff. He's he's definitely a he's definitely a centrist, realistically. So I think he'll get the left. Some of the left leaning people that are a little bit more moderate will listen to him. So it's good. This could be good for this border security push. Let me read this article quick. This is from the Business Insider. So Elon Musk suggests a Trump-style wall should be built at the U.S.-Mexico border to control immigration. Look at him in the hat. He's wearing he's wearing a cowboy hat. He looks like a doofus in the cowboy hat. Elon Musk kind of looks like a doofus anyway, but I like him, so he can be doofus, I guess. Elon Musk has suggested a Trump-style wall at the U.S.-Mexico border after claiming it wasn't being secured. The billionaire took a Thursday trip to Eagle Pass, Texas, to live stream the border crisis. He announced the trip on Wednesday via X, wading into the political debate with a series of posts that seemed to support policies aligned with former President Donald Trump's proposed border wall. We actually do need a wall, and we need to require people to have some shred of evidence to claim asylum to enter, as everyone is doing that, Musk said. It's a hack that you can literally Google to know exactly what to say. We'll find out more when I visit Eagle Pass, maybe as soon as tomorrow. He added that he thought the U.S. border needs to be secured. Security is present at borders throughout the country. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says it's on its website that it provides a comprehensive approach to border management and control, which includes immigration and security. Yeah, right. Come on. That's like somebody saying, "Oh no, I'm doing my job. Don't look into it. I'm doing my job. Don't trust your lying eyes." Representatives from Musk did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment made outside regular working hours. The Tesla CEO said he visited the border to eyeball the situation and to get a sense for what's going on. He also criticized U.S. politicians, saying they cared more about the Ukraine border than the U.S. border, which is true. He added that cities such as New York were buckling due to high levels of immigration. Political figures have spoken out about the migrant crisis. New York City Mayor Eric Adams recently said it was destroying the city, but immigrant advances criticized such claims as racist. The New York Times reported. Yeah, of course it's racist. It's racist. You can't say, too much immigration or illegal immigration is hurting a country. That's racist. Stupid. Musk had previously faced criticism for wading into political issues, including the war in Ukraine. Earlier this month, he expressed his disappointment in Ukraine's summer counteroffensive. In a post on X, Musk said, "So much death for so little." Last year, Musk proposed a peace plan on the platform he owns. The suggestion which involved Ukraine recognizing Russia's annexation of Crimea through widespread condemnation from Ukrainian officials at the time. Yeah. So basically, it's not very popular to say you're against the Ukrainian war or against hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians dead. That's just not popular. I guess that's all racist as well. I don't get it. But yeah, good on him for at least using his platform and using his voice to say things like that instead of, manipulating stock prices of Tesla or whatever by saying other outlandish stuff. Right. Okay, here we go. We're on the last thing here. Yeah, you're right. Everything is racist, Joe. Um, your keyboard is racist, though. It's. I'll bet you half the time you're stopping it from saying racist things. All dogs are racist, by the way. They, they're just weird, man. Dogs don't know what to do. Put a dog around a bunch of black people all the time, and then throw a white guy in there. It's like, what the fuck is this? Or conversely, the other way around. Dogs around white people all the time. Black guy comes around. They're like, whoa, man, what is this? This is different. This does not look. One of these things do not look like the other. So yeah, dogs are racist in the cutest way possible. All right, let's get on to the next thing here. All right. Okay, so the Y Files. If you don't know what the Y Files is, it's a YouTube channel. You should go check it out right now. Maybe not right now. Wait till I'm finished talking, then go check it out. This channel it talks about all kinds of conspiracy theories and like cool stuff about UFOs, and it's like really cool topics. If stuff that's right up my wheel, so I love it. I've been just falling down a rabbit hole watching all these episodes of it. They're pretty they're pretty condensed as far as the information. Not a lot of fluff. I mean, there's a little goldfish that he talks to that's the conspiracy theorist, like the true conspiracy theorist. So, that's whatever. It's hokey, but I like how he tackles the topics. I'm going to read this article here. This is from Yahoo Finance. It's a pretty short article, and they're very complimentary on this channel, which is kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's not weird. I don't know. It's Yahoo Finance. They're struggling for stories, probably. Excuse me. So here we go. The Y Files, engaging audiences in the world of mysteries, myths, and legends. Known for its unique and entertaining approach to unraveling the mysteries of the world, the Y Files, a fast-growing YouTube channel, has quickly amassed a large following, adding over 2 million subscribers since this time last year. This was as of June. They're up to almost 3 now. I think about 2.75 million subscribers on the main channel. The channel prides itself on responsible coverage of urban legends, conspiracy theories, infusing each video with an educational narrative based on logic and science. Sorry, I'm getting dry mouth going on here. In a world where misinformation is easily spread, The Wi-Fi Files explores myths and legends using a mix of scientific reasoning, engaging storytelling, and a dash of humor. This distinctive approach not only entertains, but also educates viewers, helping them discern fact from fiction in an enjoyable way. Each episode delves into a different topic, always revolving around the mysterious or unknown. From ancient legends to modern myths, UFOs, and the paranormal, every subject is treated with respect and a critical eye, resulting in content that is both fun and factually grounded. The type of fringe content this type of fringe content has been around forever, but our format makes it accessible to a mainstream audience, says AJ Gentile, the channel's host and writer. We don't condescend when telling our stories, so true believers can still enjoy them, but for people who want to learn the truth about the legend, we provide that as well. The Y Files uses a unique blend of visual storytelling and interactive engagement. Gentile provides the narrative, while his sidekick Hecklefish, that's this fish that's beside him, is whatever, a goldfish who swims in a bowl nearby, provides comic relief as a resident conspiracy theorist and true believer. Hecklefish asks the questions the audience is thinking, while Gentile offers more logical and scientific counterpoints. This format encourages viewers to question, think critically, and participate in the process of demystifying topics that are often misunderstood or misrepresented. So, yeah, not very much left of this article, so I'll just skip the rest of it here. But yeah, the channel's fun. One of the last ones I watched was about the moon landing, being essentially a hoax or whatever. What the way they talk about it is they will put evidence that we know to sort of be true. They'll take pieces of conspiracy theorists' ideas, and then they'll combat it with actual evidence and kind of see where it lands. And that one, it's kind of fun. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but in that one, it's a little surprising where it kind of lands. But it's cool. It's entertaining. It's educational, and it's really well put together. That's the good thing about it. When you're watching it, it's not like one of these, the production value is high. Like my production value for this is you're going to watch that and go, I need to take some tips for my podcast here. But put them in the comments. I don't care. Yeah, so go check out the Y Files. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, maybe I'll talk more about them on another one. Yeah, you are Hecklefish, Joe. Today you're Hecklefish. Yeah, no, I need a Hecklefish. But yeah, have you watched the Y Files, Joe, or do you know what I'm talking about? Because if you haven't, go check it out. It's really good, like, especially if you like, you like conspiracy theories or whatever, right? It talks about all the different popular ones. Even simulation theory and multiverse theory and all this kind of stuff. This is the kind of esoterical stuff that I'm pretty interested in. I don't really talk about it much anymore because I don't have Tyler here to bounce off of. But yeah, definitely go check it out. Let me know what you think next week in the podcast. But it's really, really good. I subscribed, and now I'm just my problem is now I'm deep diving into all the episodes. Oh, I watch Alex Jones too. Yeah, love Alex Jones. Yeah, we watch all the same stuff, obviously. But all right, well, yeah, that's it. That's it for me. That's it for another week. Thanks for jumping in the chat, Joe. Thanks, Chrissy, for saying hi and then hightailing it out of here. If you haven't already and you are catching this podcast, please hit the subscribe. Channel's been slowing a little, I think, because some of the things I'm talking about, the overlords don't like. So, yeah, if you do like it, share it with your friends and such. Let's beat that algorithm and get around it, because it's all based on impressions. And if I'm not getting the impressions on the channel, well, I'm not going to get the views, not going to get the subscribers. So it has been slowing a little bit. I had a nice bit of growth, and we're stalling a little bit. If you do like it, support it in that way. Obviously, hit the like. That helps as well. And check out all my podcast clips from the show daily at 5:00. And again, share those and like those and do all the things that you do with those. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Joe. We'll see you next week. And peace.